25 years ago, my dad always used to tell my mom that one day China would take over the Philippines. He didn't just say it to my mom, but also to other people. He would mention it almost every day when he and my mom were together. Others started laughing at him, saying my dad was going crazy. Then came the election, and my mom felt like my dad was trying to dictate her decisions because he didn't want her to vote for a Chinese politician. They almost separated because of that election, but they eventually reconciled. My dad worked as a driver, and almost all of his employers were Chinese. Despite his reluctance to work for them, he had no choice because he only finished high school and he needed to provide for us. For 5 years, he had 3 Chinese employers. During those 5 years, he witnessed how cunning they were, what they often did, and almost all their targets were to lend money to a Filipino businessman or someone with properties until the poor Filipino couldn't pay anymore. That's when the Chinese would take over the business he had built, and even with interest. My dad even gave an example. A foreign Chinese lived in a town here in the province. Because Filipinos are compassionate, they let the Chinese stay in their house, even though it wasn't in good condition. The Chinese lived with them for several months and almost renovated and beautified the Filipino's house. When it was time for the Filipino to ask the Chinese to leave, he couldn't do anything because almost every part of his house had been replaced and repaired by the Chinese. Now, if you remember, China lent the Philippines a huge amount of money to use for various infrastructure projects in our country. And we all know that the Philippines doesn't have the capability to pay the said amount on time. We were watching the news then, and when my dad saw that, he cried and told us, "This is what I've been saying. China will take us. They will make us their province." Painful as it is, it feels like my heart is being torn apart. What can I do? I have no money. I didn't finish my studies. Who will believe me? If you look around you, we live in the Philippines, but we are surrounded by Chinese businessmen. The congressmen, mayors, and whoever else is in the government are mostly Chinese. Shouldn't we be the ones progressing, not foreigners? I'm not generalizing that all Chinese are bad, but we Filipinos should be supporting our fellow Filipinos. Why are we letting them sit and get rich in our country and make us just slaves? I want you to watch a video I recently saw here on Facebook, and hopefully it serves as a lesson to all of us. From the Nas Daily page. The title of the video is Chinese Money Trap. There you will see how many countries have been deceived by the Chinese, especially their government. My story isn't scary, but I'm afraid of what will happen to the Philippines if we let them become powerful in our country. Let's not vote for Chinese politicians in the next election. I won't force you to believe me, but we won't lose anything if we support our fellow Filipinos.